Alright people, Mike Saladin here again. Welcome back to another Like A Dragon Ishin video. Today I'm just showing my platinum journey. Obviously the first trophy was just for arriving in the first area. Everyone will get that trophy. Next one, you've got Soul. Basically just upgrade any ability. Again, nearly everybody will get that if they play the game for more than 10 minutes. Losing a brother, yeah, that's just a story related trophy. Don't think you can miss that. Probably for beating chapter 2, I think that trophy was. Cocksure, this was for winning not winning, just betting on 5 chicken races. And I think that's how I got that trophy. Basically, if you want any sort of money at all in the game, you really have to get into the chicken races. Making a difference, this was just for getting a bond with any random NPC. Each NPC has a bond meter. The more you talk to them or help them, or whatever, the higher your bond goes. The gods smile upon thee. This was for getting some virtue. Again, every random task you do has some virtue attached to it, and you'll put that meter up when you earn some virtue. That was normally virtuous. That was another one for getting some more virtue points. Lord of the Dance, this was for doing all of the bio or however it's pronounced dances. Pretty tricky one for a lot of people. I found it one of the easier mini games. Aside from like one of the harder tracks. But yeah, the dancing wasn't too bad. And this was for singing all the karaoke songs, sing your heart out. Side hustle, I believe this was for just selling a lot of stuff with Haruka. Just doing the farming stuff. Platonic Bliss, this was for seeing a little cutscene while staying with Haruka. There's like 3 different ones that can play out. That was a pretty simple one. Well-rounded cast. This was for catching 10 fish, I believe. This form of fishing was really easy. You just cast a line with the best rod possible. And yeah, you just wait for the line to sink low, and when you feel your controller vibrating, you hooked it in. Fairly virtuous, that was for getting more virtue points again. There's quite a lot of trophies related to that. Like a Dragon in Heaven, this was for completing the courtesan minigame, I'm pretty sure. Or completing all 3 of them. This Kaio's Little Helper, this was for doing like 10 sub-stories, I want to guess. I managed to get it on the sub-story where you go to the sumo wrestler brothel. That was a pretty funny one. The gods rejoice at thee. This again was for more virtue points. I guess it was for getting like up to 20,000 points. An honest day's work. I guess this was for gathering 1 of every crop or something like that. It was definitely something to do with the farming. Fun little farming game. Extraordinary virtuous. Again, this was for getting a lot more of the points. I guess that was for getting like 50,000 points there. Again, you just earned those by winning at mini games or doing sub stories and stuff like that. It really went up pretty quickly. Easy come, easy go. I'm guessing this was for doing all the gambling mini games. Chohan was the last one I had to do, so that's when it popped. Chef Special, I guess this was for cooking a premium meal for Haruka, or maybe just any meal. Or maybe it was 1 of every meal. I'm actually not sure, but that one was definitely something to do with the cooking. The man who does it all. This was for playing every minigame at least once. The last one that I found was the helping out in the noodle shop. Pretty fun little minigame, but it gets tricky when you have to remember like so many orders at once. And then that noodle slinger supreme, I guess that was for completing one of the minigame. Messy investigation. This was a main story trophy, pretty sure. I think it was just for completing chapter 4. Or completing chapter 4. Everyone should get that one. The gods sing thy praises. Guess that was another virtue. Yeah, get more virtue points. I don't know how many I'd earned at that point, but yeah. Every time you had a milestone, you got some points. The Abyss Stairs Back, was that? I guess that was for doing a battle dungeon. Or completing a battle dungeon. Bandit Rustler, that was definitely something to do with the dungeons as well. Probably for completing the final one in the first set of dungeons. Like clearing all the missions. Divinely Virtuous, this was a silver trophy. It must have been for earning like 100,000 virtue points. I definitely earned a lot by this stage. This was another sub. Saint of Kyle, this must have been for doing 40 sub-stories maybe. Or something like that, because you got a trophy for 10 sub-stories, then 40, and then finally for doing all of them. Pretty sure. Now it feels like home. This was for just changing the interior decoration of your farmhouse with Haruka. Pretty easy one. Bandit Wrangler. I'm guessing this was for doing the second set of dungeons. The dungeon crawling. Yeah. It was an alright edition, but I wasn't that into it because the dungeons were kind of too samey. Student Among Masters. I'm guessing this was for training with every master at least once. Pretty easy one. On the level, I think that was for getting to level 50. Character level, that is. Pretty sure that's what that trophy was for. Sonata Takedown, yeah, this was for completing the final set of dungeons, beating the final boss. By the end of the platinum run, that final dungeon, I must have seen it about 200 times, trying to get all the materials for crafting. World's Best Greatest Uncle, yeah, let me see, that was for paying off Haruka's debt, earning 100 Ryu, or however it's pronounced. I'm paying off her debt. Halfway there, that was for getting 50% completion. And then of course you'll get another trophy when you get to 100% completion. Probably the hardest thing to do in the game. I'll have one of everything. This was just eating at every shop. And I think eating at least one of everything at least once. Or maybe it was just simply eating at every shop once. Social Butterfly, guessing that was for a sub-story completion, but it also might have been getting the bond meter of someone up to, like, this is my ring, that was the arena, probably for beating every arena challenge, I'd guess. This was another main story one, that was close. Gonna guess this was for finishing chapter 8. Maybe. I'll finish in chapter 6. Tengu Tamer, this was for doing the Wanted Man missions. I think that was only for finishing the second mission. But yeah, you have to complete all of those as well. Revelation Revealer. This was for unlocking all the different heat moves from the skill books. I think there's 8 of those, and you basically have to unlock all the heat moves again for the 100%. Drop and give me 100. That was for recruiting 100 trooper cards. That was pretty easy. You just get that passively by doing all the dungeon missions and just fighting random troopers out and about. The gods have been humbled. Yeah, that was basically for getting like 500,000 virtue points or something crazy like that. But over the course of the game, you really do just earn that naturally. Everybody loves Ryoma. I think that's for getting the bond meter with every character up to the maximum. I think there's like 23 shop owners and then maybe 20 random people out and about around the town that you have to become friends with. Shy Wolf or Show Wolf, is that? Actually not sure what that trophy was for. Maybe for beating a dungeon. Limit Breaker. Oh, okay, that would have been for getting level 99. And then Limit Breaker, that was for obviously going back to the Masters, fighting all of them, and then you get to Limit Break and level back up to 99 again and become even more strong. The bottom dropout, yeah, I was completing chapter 8. Secret Revealed, again, that's another story related trophy, can't really miss that. That was for completing chapter 10. I guess I was just on a story kick at this point, trying to get through the story. Cold Betrayal, another story trophy. I think I was just trying to get to the final chapter before working on the last bit of the trophy grind. Savior of Cow, that was for doing every sub-story. I think there's 72 of them, or maybe 73, something like that. Then Taskmaster, hardest trophy in the game, you have to 100% the game. The blacksmith grinding for the equipment and the seals, probably one of the worst things in any RGG studio game. Bring down the hammer, this was for just enhancing any 100 items. It was pretty simple, but what wasn't simple was getting the seals to do that. Legend of an Era, this was completing the game on Legendary. To be honest, I played on easy for most of the game, and then in the final chapter, when I was really overpowered, I just put it on to Legend mode, and that counts as completing the entire game. Hero of a Nation, that's just the final trophy for beating the main story. So yeah, the last thing I had to do then was the ultimate challenges. So I did all of those, beat the final boss rush, and then the platinum was mine. If it hadn't been for that equipment grind, it would have been a fairly standard platinum. But the equipment grind was so tedious that it's one of the more difficult platinum trophies in the series. But now I've got every platinum for every modern RGG studio game,